how close are you to a full-scale ground invasion of Gaza?
Good to be with you, Wolf. We're taking all the necessary preparations. I can't tell you a final decision has been made. Obviously, we'll keep our options close to our chests. They were talking about operational matters, but we are ready to escalate if need be.
There are reports that tens of thousands of Israeli reserve soldiers are potentially getting ready to be mobilized. Are those reports true?
Yes, tonight the Israeli cabinet voted and I believe allowed to enlist some 75,000 Israeli reservists. Once again, that's to give the leadership options. We have the option to escalate. We have the option to de-escalate. Our goal is, of course, to bring peace to our frontier, to end those ongoing bombardments from Hamas-controlled Gaza into Israel. That's our goal.
Is there any indication those bombardments are slowing down or getting ready to stop?
I'm afraid we had another bad day in Israel, though I'm glad to say we didn't have fatalities. We had missiles being shot on cities throughout Israel, throughout the south, and of course, you know, air raid sirens were also sounded in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv, which is not a daily occurrence. But it's our belief that through our actions so far, we have significantly depleted their missile stocks, and what they're shooting at us now is their leftovers. We think we're getting the upper hand, and as this operation continues, we're going to neutralize the missile threat that the Israeli civilian population has been living under for too long.
The Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas says what Israel is doing now in Gaza, in his words, is an aggression against all Palestinian people. Have you communicated with President Mahmoud Abbas?
I'm not aware that we've had direct communications with him. I can say the following. If anyone wants to talk about aggression, it's aggression from Gaza into Israel. Ultimately, our operation is defensive. I wish we didn't have to do it. But ultimately, we had a situation where our border with Gaza, our communities, we had missile after missile, missile after missile, targeting Israeli cities, not for days, Wolf, not for weeks, but for months now. And our civilian population was living in bomb shelters. It just couldn't go on. We had to act to defend our civilian population. We had to act to protect our people.
They say, the Palestinians in Gaza, that you, Israel, started this by killing their military commander in that airstrike the other day. As a result of that, they're taking these actions. What do you say to that argument?
I'd say it wasn't like it was quiet before we took out that man, that particular individual. We had 3 cycles of escalation over the last month or so, all of them initiated by Hamas. And what happened is when they said, well, we've had enough, they'd quiet things down, and so we'd quiet it down. But that actually gave them the initiative. That meant that they had a green light to open fire whenever they sought to. And we said, enough is enough. This just can't go on. You know, earlier this week, I went with Prime Minister Netanyahu down to Ashkelon, which is an Israeli city of, I think, 150,000 people close to the border with Gaza. And we met a schoolgirl. And she said something to me which moved me, and I think moved the Prime Minister as well. She said that when school children across the planet hear a bell, they think, you know, a lesson is starting or a lesson is over, it's time to go back home. When school girls and school boys in southern Israel hear a bell, it's usually a siren. It means they have 15 or 20 seconds to run to a bomb shelter. That's how they've grown up. That's what they're used to. It just can't go on. And we're taking steps now to end that.
I know the Prime Minister spoke with President Obama the other day. Have there been any more recent conversations?
We're having ongoing diplomatic contacts with, of course, with the American administration and, of course, with other leaders around the world. I mean, ultimately, we've been warmed. We've welcomed what we've heard from leaders across the planet that says, you know, Israel has the right to defend itself, that these missiles must end, that Hamas is responsible for this escalation. We've welcomed those comments, and we are acting now, ultimately, what any country would do in our situation. I mean, Wolf, if you look around the planet, there are not a lot of countries whose governments would sit quietly and do nothing while their people were being rocketed by terrorists from across the frontier. And Israel is doing what I think any country would do in our situation.